Questioning the Answers, from the notes of Kayla Haber-Goldstein. Published by Mosaica Press. Produced by IMP Studios. Narrated by Kayla Haber-Goldstein.
I'm finding it difficult to write this introduction. This book is not my personal memoir. However, it is important to understand where I'm coming from. Technically, the journey of this book began in 2016 when my son was born. However, in a deeper way, it began before that as a young adult growing into myself. I grew up in a religious home in Israel and went to schools deep in the Haredi system. My father is a well-respected rabbi and a very kind and wise man, someone who I always strive to make proud. It is clear to me that this is why I never really rebelled. I didn't want to cause him pain. So I more or less followed the status quo and didn't get into too much trouble at school. Externally, at least, I kept up the life that was expected of me by default. I grew up, met my wonderful husband, and got married. We had a beautiful daughter and started our life together. I was very happy. However, deep inside, I had all types of questions and doubts. I felt like the life I was living was brainwashed. I had read a book about cults and vaguely felt like Judaism might be one. Deep down, some mitzvahs bothered me, but I never did anything about it. I never even talked about it. Looking back, I think I just didn't care enough to stop being religious or to connect to God. It was easier to just keep doing what I had always done and what those around me were doing, and I just moved through life, and keeping religion was just another, relatively minor thing I did to keep the beautiful life I had created. But these minor inconveniences started to get less minor when we decided to move to the States for my husband's job. Here, where I was no longer surrounded by the people I knew and loved, the positives for being religious began diminishing. The questions started coming up more often and stronger. However, I still didn't do much about them. Then, quite suddenly, my life fell apart. My son's birth was incredibly difficult and ended with a clinical death, followed by months of getting back on my feet, literally. I spent those months in bed, unable to walk for more than a few minutes. I was overwhelmed. I was sick, mentally and physically, and I was angry at how hard things were. Angry and hurt, I felt betrayed by God. I stopped being religious by default. I didn't want to be religious or connected to God anymore. I didn't even want to live. Life went on like this for about 8 months. By this point, my husband was feeling a little lost. He supported me and wanted me to be okay, but he also wanted his children to be raised by someone who shared his value system. He needed a wife who would respect those values, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. Around this time, my husband's rabbi was visiting the United States from Israel and kindly came for dinner.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?